Welcome to the ISTAR Kindergarten Readiness Training module for SLPs. If you are taking this module, you are an SLP that is the teacher of record for a preschool-age student and therefore administering the ISTAR KR assessment. ISTAR KR was developed by the Indiana Department of Education as a collaborative project between First Steps, Ball State University, Indiana University, and the ICANN project. It is an assessment tool intended to measure a child's strengths and skills from 4 months old to age 5. In this training, we will cover the ISTAR KR timelines, how to gather information for your assessment, and how to navigate the online system to complete the assessment. There are 3 different times we do ISTAR KR assessment on every preschool-age student in special education. An initial within 6 weeks of initial enrollment to the special education program. An interim assessment within 6 weeks before or after the student's birthday, and an exit assessment within 6 weeks before or after the student exits the preschool program, either because they've been dismissed from special education or because they're moving on to kindergarten. If they are going to kindergarten, the exit date is the last date of school. Remember, if the student moves out, that is not an exit because they should be continuing services at their next location. As you can see, the interim and exit assessments generate a 12-week window. We are going to use that to our advantage later. Be careful to note these 6 weeks are calendar days, not school days, so summer break and all school vacations are counted within this timeline. Be sure to plan accordingly. If a student's birthday is in the summer, you may have to plan to do it in May or make a note to complete in August. At the beginning of the school year, many SLPs start a separate calendar just for compliance dates. This calendar would be just for students you are responsible for. For example, you can probably omit all the students in developmental preschool as their teacher of record is in charge of those students. Mark your windows on the calendar. Find a child's date of birth, count 6 weeks prior to the date of birth, and mark the start of ISTAR for Emily Smith. Count 6 weeks after date of birth, and mark Finish ISTAR KR for Emily Smith. Mark 6 weeks prior to the last date of school, and mark Start Exit ISTAR KR for preschoolers going to kindergarten. When you enroll a new preschooler after an eligibility conference, add the 6-week initial window to your compliance calendar, but remember, you can always start early. When you dismiss a preschooler, add a 6-week final window to your compliance calendar. You can always start early on this window as well. Sometimes the date of birth window will overlap with the exit or entrance window. Make a special note of these opportunities because this can save you a lot of time. For example, a child is enrolled on September 1st, but her birthday is on October 1st, so there's a large overlap in assessment windows. Within that overlap time frame, enter and save an initial assessment, then immediately open, enter, and save an interim assessment with the same data. If you were to administer the entire ISTAR KR independently, it would take you a month's worth of therapy sessions to go through each area, and that is not acceptable. Fortunately, you have reliable sources of information through a preschool teacher or parent, and you will use them to complete this assessment. For students who are seen on an on-site preschool, you have access to a preschool teacher who can help fill out the assessment with minimal training. You will want to review what they've marked on before inputting the information. If there are any gaps in assessment, you can always fill them in with the student individually. Some students come in on a walk-in basis, and a parent or caregiver is a reliable source of information. With a little training, they too can fill out the bulk of the ISTAR KR packet while they're waiting during therapy. Parents can skip questions they aren't sure about, and you can follow up with filling the gaps during therapy sessions or interview. Other students come in on a walk-in basis, and the parent or caregiver may not be a reliable source of information or cannot fill out the paperwork independently. You may want to take the opportunity to fill out as much of the matrices as you can, and then follow up with a parent interview about specific questions you can't answer. The ISTAR KR matrices are on the IDOE website, as well as linked on our website. You will need the charts for English Language Arts, Math, Personal Care, Physical, and Social-Emotional domains to complete the assessment. In the matrices, skills move from left to right in the columns. Within each section, determine at which level the child has demonstrated proficiency of most of the items. Circle the heading of the column that you determine they have reached. There is no standard definition for most, so use your best professional judgment and be consistent across students. In this method, we suggest you keep a master copy of all the matrices, and when you enroll a new student, copy a new packet for them. Color code each assessment and note the date on the front. In this example, black was for the initial, pink for the interim, and green for the exit. When it's time for the next assessment, you don't have to start from scratch. Just look for new skills that show that they are moving forward to the right. This will save time and paper. When you've completed your paper assessment, you are ready to enter it into the system. First, log into Learning Connections. Under Apps, click on ISTAR. You may have a list of students already generated for you. If you're missing a student, email your ISTAR KR administrator with the name and date of birth. This is the only way they will show up on your list. Click on the star to begin a new evaluation, or at any time you've saved a partial evaluation and need to come back. You will be prompted to add in the purpose of the assessment, so it will either be an entrance, an interim, or an exit assessment. The exceptionality will be whatever is listed as the primary eligibility on the IEP. Click Next, and the system will show 5 domains that are part of the ISTAR KR assessments. Click Next again until you reach the Finish screen. Click the pencil button to open one of the categories. This is where you input your assessment. Click Save when you are finished. You are allowed to come back and edit repeatedly until you finalize. When all threads are complete, click the Finalize button and you are finished. After each ISTAR KR assessment is complete, print an ISTAR KR report. Send a copy home for parents and another in the speech file. These reports are known to disappear from Learning Connection over the summer, so this printed copy may be your only backup and proof that it was done. On the ISTAR page, on the left-hand side, there are several reports you can run. Individual reports gives you the option of a type of report, such as an assessment summary or comparison bar graph, which will show you progress over time. Progress monitoring does not apply to ISTAR KR. With the assessment, there are some optional features. The clip and the notepad icons allow you to add notes and attachments. There are also Progress Monitoring Assessment button, which you may wish to measure in between interim assessments. This is intended for documentation, but not a mandatory part of ISTAR KR.